Gang, what's going on today? We are on episode 18 of the Becoming Limitless podcast. I have an awesome guest for you guys today, Ralph Anthony. Ralph is an ex-technology entrepreneur turned men's development coach with his new brand, Masculine Medicine, with a focus on wealth creation, investing, fitness, nutrition, and dating. Gang, so I met Ralph just like a couple weeks ago through this entrepreneur circle call, which was hosted by Patrick Farrell, who I've been working very close with over the last year. And we had a big group in the entrepreneur circle call. We broke out into some breakout rooms. And the topic of discussion was essentially, how do you guys, like, kind of a prompted question for us to talk about in the breakout rooms, like, how do you guys want to create freedom for yourselves within the next year? And a lot of the people in my group had very similar things to say. It's like me included, for example, I was like, I want to create the freedom to be able to travel this year a lot. I want to create the financial freedom to be able to invest in myself in different programs and retreats. And everyone had very similar things to say, like ambitious people, which was amazing, definitely in the right room. But Ralph had said something different, which really kind of piqued my interest, and I really wanted to hear more about that. And I don't want to paraphrase on your behalf, Ralph, and obviously let you kind of explain it. But to me, how I perceived it was essentially, I've created that type of freedom in my life where I've been able to travel. I've created that type of financial freedom in my life where I've been able to invest in different programs and in myself and retreats. And you had kind of said that the freedom I want to create in my life this year and going forward is the freedom to be able to express myself in a way where I can speak in front of others and get my message out to help as many people as possible. And when I first heard you say that, it almost seemed to me like, all right, like this guy is on the next level. Like he's on the next part of the path and the process. And I just could sense like you're just such a valuable person, man, to speak to and learn from. And I really wanted to give you that outlet to share your message with others and also listen myself. So I kind of rambled there in the beginning, but thank you so much, man, again for coming on. And I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You definitely got the right idea. You explained that pretty perfectly, actually. That's exactly what it is. It does feel like, I don't want to be arrogant here, but it does feel like the next level. It's like, I got the financial freedom, I made the money, and then it's like, what next? Because it just seems like with everything in life, whatever you have normalizes, just becomes normal to you.
Yeah.
The dream was to be financially free many years ago. It's like, I really want to be rich. Oh man, money. And then you make loads of money and then you're like, oh, okay. So I've done this part now. So what's next? Mm-hmm. And being an overly ambitious man is a blessing and a curse. I can tell you that. It's, people want to get to this level, but I'm telling them I got the same issues, just at a slightly higher level than they do.
Sure.
And now I'm working harder than ever, which is fascinating because I don't need to work, but I'm working harder than I've ever worked. I'm like, shit, I just want to chill on a beach, but I tried to chill on a beach and I got bored super quick.
Okay.
So, I don't know what format you want to take with this. If you want to throw a bunch of questions at me, I could sit here and talk for an hour without you even prompting any questions. So I'm going to maybe let you go piece by piece. Otherwise, I would just sit here and just go, bang, 1 hour straight. I'm just going to give it to everyone in an hour.
I 100% feel you, brother. I think, I definitely have some things that I'm super interested to hear from you, and as well as things that I think the audience would really appreciate. But yeah, if you want to take us, man, just like even through the beginning, a little bit through your story in what brought you to this point. Obviously, I mentioned before in the bio that ex-technology entrepreneur turned men's personal development coach. And this type of transition, just in my experience and from talking to other coaches in general, being around this type of profession, usually is sparked by something in life. Like it's usually not necessarily out of the blue that people change from their maybe their corporate type style of job to kind of switching to this coaching world where you're giving back and trying to help others. And I'd love to hear just from your experience and kind of your journey, what took you from that kind of corporate route to transitioning into this personal development coach.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. I never took to authority very well. I was just one of those kids at school that just never wanted to listen to anyone, never wanted to listen to my teachers, was just bad with authority. I was always a bit of a rebel child. I was
Mhm.
always got in trouble at school. Dad was hard. He was like, get the grades. You need to get the grades. You need to be an accountant, a doctor or a lawyer or an investment banker. You have to do it. And I was like, I don't have to do anything. So
Exactly.
it was a strange old uh, something that I was instilled with as from a young age that I wanted to be free. That's all I knew. All I
Mhm.
knew was that my values as a kid was freedom. That's the only thing that was popping into my head. I didn't learn that. I didn't read that. I didn't pick that up from anyone. It was just built inside of me. I remember being 6 years old, and in England we call it primary school. I'm not sure I think you call it elementary school in the States.
Yeah.
And I would sit there with a best friend of mine right by the school gate, looking at the exit and being like, I just want to leave and go for lunch at my own home right now with my own family. Why am I restricted to being in this particular place right now? Like, why do I need to be here? Um, and I would just stare at that gate at break times, at school, at lunch. And I'd be like, I just want to escape this. I don't need to be here. So I had a problem with authority. I had a problem with systems.
Mhm.
I had a problem with processes. When anyone told me this is how it needs to go, A, B, C, D, I was like, well, why can't I just try and build it myself and experience it myself?
Mhm.
So that was a strange old thing that was innately ingrained into me. Now, as times went on and I systematically got the grades and went to university and went to a good uni, and then at uni, I was pushed into doing investment banking. I
Mhm.
went to Imperial College London, which was a really good university. Everyone was like, yeah, investment banking. You want to work for Goldman Sachs. That's it. That's the holy grail. You get a
Mhm.
job at Goldman Sachs, you're done. You're done for life, bro. I
Mhm.
was like, oh shit, okay. Oh, I better apply for Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Without even thinking, what do I want? Didn't even matter what I wanted at
Mhm.
the time. It was like, oh, what's everyone else doing? So it was like following the crowd. I felt like a sheep. And the shepherd was the lecturer telling everyone, these are the best banks to work for. And you're all very intelligent. And that was the time where finance was blowing up. Everyone wanted to work for the big banks. So sent a bunch of applications, ended up doing an internship at UBS Investment Bank. Man, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't respect anyone. I couldn't understand. I was on the alternative investment strategies desk, which was they were creating equity derivative products and selling it to other banks. And I was like, what is this? Like, what are you even selling? What does this do for people? It's like, this shit makes no sense, guys. You're
Mhm.
just structuring products to sell to other banks at an interest rate and then buying it back off them. And I was like, what advantage is there in this?
Mhm.
So again, I questioned the authority. And then I left and I did 2, 3 years in oil trading in the city of London. I worked for a top oil trading company. I did my graduate scheme at a top oil trading company as well. So I was like one of those London bankers, with the
Sure.
pointy shoes and the nice suit and the tie and rolling into work. And I thought that was the dream. I was like, yo, this must be the dream. I'm the man. I'm a
Mhm.
banker. I'm going to be rich. I'm
Mhm.
going to kill it. That's all I thought at the time. I thought you got to make the money. You got to run this show.
Mhm.
Till I was miserable. I hated it. I never enjoyed a single day as an investment banker or a single day as an oil trader.
Mhm.
So I kept on trying to start side businesses. And eventually, one of the businesses I raised some money for in the technology field, it was called Brisk. It was an iPhone app which amalgamated information from Instagram and Twitter to show you what you could walk to in your local vicinity that was trending.
Mhm. Okay.
So we raised some money. We raised some money for that. And then we ran that for a year and the investor went bankrupt and said, hey, I can't put any more money into this. So I stopped receiving a salary and I was broke. I was 25 years old. I had nothing. I had no money. I had a nice resume. I had no money.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, this ain't working.
Mhm.
Nothing seems to be working. Maybe I should have followed the system. Maybe I should have been systematic. Maybe because I'm a rebel, none of this is working. Maybe you're not supposed to be a rebel. And so then I needed a job. So I looked around everywhere I could. I asked a friend of mine who was working at Google. I was like, listen, bro, I need a job. I'm broke as hell. So he took my CV, resume, whatever you want to call it. He forwarded it to a few teams at Google. One of these teams decided to interview me. 7 interviews later, I got the job. I flew to Dublin, ended up working there for 2 years. Loved the company, by the way. Google was an amazing company to work for. They were fantastic. They were the first corporation that actually treated me well. All the other companies treat you like shit. The finance firms, they don't care. You're just another number. They're like, whatever, bro. Trade, get the numbers, make the sales and leave. But with Google, they actually cared about me. It was insane, the facilities that we had. Like I would put my hand up and say, yo, anyone wants to work for a tech company? You want to work for Google? Hand on heart, that place was the best place I've ever worked by far. I had a great 2 years there. Yeah. While I was, and then so at the desk in Google, I made best friends with this Irish guy. And then one day we decided to leave the company and start our own firm based on a lot of the things we were learning from our clients. So we were like, oh, hold on a second. Our clients are making all this money. They're not smarter than we are. Why don't we leave and build a business and build a better business than our clients? But we can't have a full-time job for this because it's going to coincide with the contract and Google might sue us. We might get in trouble. So let's just leave and set this shit up. And we had an investor that backed us and said, guys, I'll give you $20,000 to leave Google and to give this a shot. We were like, all right, cool. At the time, $20,000 seemed like a lot of money. So we left. We built that company. And a year later, I made my first $1 million.
Wow. Holy shit.
And
man.
I was like, what? I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what just happened? And then myself and my ex-business partner at the time, we split off because I wanted to bring my brothers into the business. I didn't want my brothers working 9 to 5s. I wanted them to join my business. I wanted them to get wealthy and I wanted them to be free. You know, I'm very close to my family. I love my family. It's a big value of mine. Family values are huge and I wanted them to be free. I didn't want to make $1 million and have them working a 9 to 5. That was impossible for me. So then I built myself and my partner separated. I then built the same business with a different name, of course, with my brothers. And we were very successful for 3-4 years. Super successful. Made a bunch of money. And then the business started going a little bit sour because algorithms change and technology changes. And obviously my heart wasn't fully into it because I was looking at digital marketing campaigns every day. And that wasn't what I was meant to be on this earth for. It turns out. It turns out I was meant to do that to then get to this point. So then fast forward a few years, I was then about 32, 33 years old. I then got involved in investing, in technology investing. So I took that money and I started investing in companies and investing in sort of the large cap tech companies, which kept me doing well for a few years. So I started getting myself a nice percentage return every year. Now I'm in my mid-30s and last year, I tried a bunch of businesses which didn't work. And I was like, what is going on? No, I'm a smart kid. I usually make this stuff work. Why is it not working anymore? It turns out that when I would consult my friends and advise them on, you know, what to train, what to eat, what to say to the girl, what business they should pick, what career they should get into, they would call me up and just tell me about girl problems. I was more interested in that than any other business I'd ever started. I was like, yo, I'm really enjoying talking to my boy about the problems he's having with this girl. I'm really enjoying talking to my boy about how he could potentially get a 6-pack. And so I found that I was being very helpful towards other men that were my friends. And I found that they kept sort of consulting me and consoling in me and feeling comfortable enough to have these conversations. And I would enjoy these conversations. So I was like, maybe my destiny is to have these conversations with men, but to find a way to sort of monetize it so it becomes a business. So I know I've rambled on here and told the whole story, but I kind of had to tell the beginning to get to this point. And last year I started seeing some strange signs from the powers that be. I wasn't a very religious guy until last year. Now I'm starting to feel like there is an energy, there is a higher purpose, there is a power, there is something that seems to be pushing me in this direction. I tried to send 7 figures of money into a Coinbase account 2 months ago, and the bank stopped me from doing so. And they were like, no, you're not doing this. And that was for a big crypto investment that I was meant to make. I was meant to start a crypto hedge fund. And the bank stopped me from doing that. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, this is just this is what the banks do, and I was trying to think logically about it, and then I thought, well, maybe this is God telling me that I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is God telling me, hey son, I need you. I need you to show people the light, especially in these difficult times. He was almost saying to me, my children are suffering, and I need men to stand up, strong men like you, that have all of these wonderful things, that have accumulated all these wonderful things, who are mentally stable, who can communicate well, to step up and to start helping my lost children. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the past 2-3 months, I started posting content every day on YouTube, and my subscribers would start to climb. And some strange things started happening again over the last couple of weeks. In January, I came to Budapest. I'm a digital nomad, so I work from anywhere I want. And I just started seeing some weird signs, dude. Like if I started talking about it, you'd think I'm some freak religious Bible bashing Jesus lover, but like,
I'm totally
I
down to
don't
hear it
know.
if you'll share.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. I was like, you know what? These tingling feelings that would come through my body that would just tell me, you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. I was like, what? And then I would see signs as I was walking down the street. I would feel certain things in my heart that would make me feel completely aligned. There's this feeling of alignment that I'm feeling now, which is like almost God speaking to me saying, you are in the right place. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're completely aligned. This is your path. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard work. There is no real like goal to reach. There's no number. There's no particular amount of people I want to speak to. There's nothing really I can measure apart from humans need help, especially men in today's world. And I have this purpose and this mission now to get men out of this rut that they're stuck in, whether it's because of poverty, whether it's because of a bad dating life, whether it's because they can't get their body in shape, whether it's because they're depressed and miserable, taking antidepressants, whether it's because they're stuck in a job they don't like, in a toxic relationship they don't like, in a family that's terrible, with friends that are leading them down the wrong path, with drugs that they shouldn't be taking. There is a myriad of things that are going wrong with the modern man. And I never had a problem with all of those things that I've just mentioned. Mm-hmm. So they all come natural to me. So it feels like someone's got to step up and someone's got to help people and show them the path. And so that's when I started thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to build a brand. It's going to be called Masculine Medicine. It's going to be aimed at men. Sure, I'd love to be surrounded by hot women all day, every day. That would be great. But no, that isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be surrounded by men who I'm assisting. And so that was the journey from being a rebel kid, from going into investment banking, from hating that, from starting a bunch of businesses, which failed. Eventually, one of them popped off after Google. Then being a technology investor, then trying to start a crypto hedge fund, which just didn't work. And I was blocked in multiple avenues. And then feeling more in alignment with this and starting with some YouTube channels and getting some fantastic comments. When I started reading essays on my YouTube, I was like, yo, people want to hear this and people need the help. I now spend my Saturday afternoons responding to YouTube comments. I used to spend my Saturday afternoons in Miami popping bottles of champagne, pouring it down my neck, dancing around like a fool. So my life's changed and it feels like there's nothing else I'd want to be doing apart from this.
Man, that is like an absolutely incredible story, man. I really appreciate you sharing that with me, man. And I know we could have taken that even longer than the 20, and there's so much to unpack. Damn, man. All right. One thing that I want to just before I kind of like transition into more of the coaching stuff you're doing now is you said over the journeys, essentially a couple times, like you had these feelings of like misalignment and where you weren't feeling fulfilled and satisfied and like you had needed something more. Just for anyone who's feeling that way at this point in time in their life, as if like maybe life is not terrible, maybe they're not at rock bottom, but it's definitely not fucking great either. And they're not like excited for life. Kind of just floating in this middle purgatory kind of area where it's just like complacency. What do you think, like, was that inner voice, or how did you turn up that inner voice to be like, all right, I need to make a change and capitalize on this, not just acknowledge it and just kind of ignore it and try to distract yourself from it? Because it seemed like in a couple different scenarios, when it was in the first finance job to the Google, from the Google to leaving Google, and then from the business with your family to even doing this type of coaching, it just always seemed as if there was this inner voice pulling at you, and that you needed to make a change. But so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how can people get more in tune with that inner voice? How did you find yourself becoming in tune with that inner voice? And how did you have the courage to take the action when so many people may recognize it, but then just try and distract themselves from it and pretend it doesn't exist?
Yeah. I mean, there's two ways you can look at this. I was lucky that I had some good people around me at the time. Most people just don't have positive influences.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're turning to the internet to try and find positive content.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my friends just wanted to sit around and smoke weed and drink beers and mess and just talk garbage and watch sports,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. People can do that, by the way. I'm not against that. That's not me. And so I would turn to my friends and be like, dude, I'm just not happy doing this job.
Mm-hmm.
And there was very few characters, not many, very few characters along the journey that just said to me, well, bro, you can change your life. Like, you're not trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you start taking the steps? Why don't you start taking the very small steps? You can do it. You can actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't many of these characters, I've got to say, because the influences are tough these days. I mean, you just don't have these people around you. They're certainly online, but I don't think that it has as much of an impact online as it does when you're sitting face to face with your boy,
Mm-hmm.
and you've just had a beer or you're just taking a walk in a park, and you're just saying to him, dude, I'm just not happy doing this. And I know I'm called to something else. I know I need to help people, but I just need to find what it is I'm good at doing so I can monetize that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a few people who will encourage you and just give you that little kick and see the light inside of you, because they see the light inside of themselves and they're not insecure and they don't have so much pride and ego that bigging you up wouldn't make them feel small. The problem that I found is that so many people along my journey wouldn't want to praise me because it would make them apparently feel small, which is some really weird way of doing things. But I found that a lot of my friends never wanted to give me praise. If I sat around my friends and I said, boys, I need some help. What am I good at doing? Can you guys write a little list of what I'm good at doing? Everyone goes, why would we want to play this game? Just roll another one up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So having those sorts of people around you that don't encourage improvement and development puts you in a stale environment. And I was stuck in a stale environment for a long time. The UK is not what people think it is. That cold, gloomy ass weather makes people feel a bit miserable. I don't know what it does to them. Maybe it makes them feel a little bit insecure, but doesn't give them that excitement and that joy. And so when I went to the States for the first time on my Google business trip, when I landed in California, I could smell the positivity in the air. I was like, man, these people are all about like trying new things. Yeah, like start a business, raise capital, blah, blah. I was like, what the hell? Us Brits don't talk like this. We're like, yeah, whatever, bro. Have another beer and wake up and get back to work tomorrow. So it was the people. There was very few people along this 15, 20-year journey that encouraged me to try new things and that praised me. And sometimes all we need is just a little bit of praise.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of, hey, bro, you're a great person. You're intelligent. You're really good at dancing or caring or hugging or whatever it is, as small as it may be. You just need someone to encourage you, to tell you, you're good at this and you can actually do it. And you should take the small steps. So after those sorts of conversations, I would take the very small steps to think, what business could I start? What podcast could I do? Who could I speak to that could help me with this? Not, oh my God, I need to raise 100 million to build this company. Whoa, slow down. It's all good. You're not going to go from a call center to a $100 million business. You're going to go from a call center to a conversation with someone about a potential business idea, to sketching out on paper, to paying someone on freelancer.com to build you a $200 website to get it started. There are steps that you need to take, and small steps are absolutely fine. So people are scared of taking the small steps. Mm-hmm. And so that is ultimately my answer to your question. It's imperative to have good people around you. And now I'm doing this because I want to be that person that's there for many others, because I never had that growing up. Mm-hmm. So I want to be that person for the youngers. Mm-hmm. Because it was such a minimal amount of people. Nobody wanted to praise me. No one wants to praise you. Your friends don't really want to praise you that often, because they're just like, well, if I praise him, it feels like I'm kind of giving him too much. And then what about me? And everyone's so self-interested in themselves all the time. Mm-hmm. If you just gave your brother a little bit of encouragement and told him he's a great person with great potential and that he was extremely intelligent and that he could be really successful one day, you don't realize the impact that has on them. And so it was just those very few people that got me to kick it off. And they got me feeling into my alignment. I just needed that. I was over here. I needed these people to bring me into the center. And as they both vibrated nicely into the center again in alignment, now I get my validation, if you want to call it, even though you should never look for validation, from YouTube comments. So now there are complete strangers telling me, hey, thanks, dude, great video. Thank you, really helped me. Can you give me some advice on this? What do I say to this girl? How do I train abs? How do I do this? And so that now is becoming a snowball effect. So you've got to get it started. You've got to get something going, and then you'll get more praise and more alignment from someone else in this world. And then that will be the snowball effect. And now I'm that snowball rolling down the hill. But to begin with, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think it was possible. I literally needed someone to say to me, brother, you've got this. You're good enough. And I think the world is just waking up now to those sorts of things. But I want these people to have good people around them. But I know 90% of the people around them don't really want what's best for them, because unfortunately that's human nature. Mm-hmm. That your friends don't want to see you succeed and outpace them and leave your hometown. They don't really want to see that. Few of them will want to see that. Find the few.
Yeah, man. Wow. That I couldn't genuinely agree more. I have a group at home, a group of friends. We're super, super, super supportive of each other. And you mentioned the exercise, literally, of hitting up your boys and being like, could you guys let me know what you think are some of my strengths or some of my highlights? Because I actually did that. I hit up a group of my boys because I forgot I was doing some activity, maybe some exercise, with Patrick, or trying to find some sweet spot or alignment. So it was, hey, reach out to some of your friends, ask them what they think your strengths and highlights are. And I did. And my boys gave me because they're great dudes. We lift each other up, support each other, gave me paragraphs and stuff about what they thought my strengths were and so good. And it was amazing. It felt amazing. But then after too, we're hitting up the group chat. We were what other group of guys is doing this type of shit? We're just it's different, man. It's fucking different, because we wanted to see each other succeed. And we're always trying to raise each other up and support each other. But it's so interesting that you say that, Ralph, about the culture in England too, because one of my best friends here that I'm living with in Medellin, Colombia, he's from London as well. And the way that he kind of talks sometimes about the badgering between his group of friends at home and my group of friends at home couldn't be more different. And I can only imagine we've had these conversations together about the kind of environment we have here, with our group of friends, as opposed to kind of his friend group at home. And he's probably gonna listen to this and be like, "Why the fuck did you bring me into this?" But he went home for Christmas break to London, and we're learning dancing, we're learning bachata, and like we love it, man. Like it like absolutely drives us. It's a great thing to do every day, to be social, to dance and just have so much fun. And like we're just enjoying so much here. And like he went home and his boys were absolutely grilling him for learning
Oh, amazing.
bachata. And just like, I
Yeah.
don't know, in my head, it's like, I think you guys are probably just jealous. Like this man is learning, like he's being able to dance like with beautiful women, like he's having a great time in Colombia. Like this is
Yeah.
amazing. I don't know how you could like try and shit on this or try and bring
Yeah.
someone else down like this, but it happens all too frequently to make people feel better about themselves, right? And I think that people who are doing really well in life and are super secure with themselves, um,
Mhm.
there's no one that's like above you when it comes to like whatever I feel like maybe success or security with yourself or confidence, that are shitting on people maybe like at an earlier stage than them. It always seems like the
Yeah.
people underneath trying to pull people down, but people who are focused on
Yeah.
themselves and their purpose and vision and are secure with themselves aren't taking the time to troll people on social media.
Yeah.
Because they're too fucking busy
Exactly.
creating their vision
Ex-
and the life that they want, and to be doing that and be spreading hate and bullshit, man. So I couldn't
Precisely.
agree more that the environment in your support group is absolutely pivotal, man, especially like when things are going good to support each other, but when you're having like the tough day too, and then they just like remind you again, like tomorrow's a new fucking day, man, like step by step, part of the process. Like if everything went smoothly, it'd be a really boring, shitty story to tell by the end of our lives. Like it's the adversity, right, that we
Exactly.
face and the challenges that help us develop into the person that we ultimately want to become. Like without the adversity and the
Absolutely.
challenges, we wouldn't be molded and become who we our utmost potential one day. So grateful for it
Yeah.
all, man, and thank you so much again. That really hit home with me. Um,
I want to ask you, do you find the culture in the States to be, is this a generalization that people are more open to entrepreneurialism and a bit more positive in general? Was that what it was like back home for you growing up, or did you have the same sort of experience as me back home in the UK?
I mean, I've had some different friend groups. I think that some have been obviously like more party based, but no one was, in my experience, no one was like malicious in my friend groups. Yeah, they
Okay,
weren't
good.
super ambitious, but were never like malicious type of people that I
Okay.
grew up with.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that, and just talking with my buddy, talking with Joey, his experiences in England, and then even meeting people on our travels, talking about, yeah, like I started a business, or like, where are you from? And I say like New York, and I don't know, the conversation of starting a business and like believing anything is possible like came up. And I
Hmm.
think the one girl was from England or something. She goes, "Of course you think like that. Like you're from America. Like you guys have dreams.
Exactly.
You guys have dreams and believe in yourself and anything's possible." And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, yeah, I fucking do. Of course I do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I guess I
yeah,
didn't recognize that it was that different in other parts of the world, like in like just the friends from England who I guess didn't necessarily have that optimism and that hope or faith that like,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
we can create anything, we can become whoever we want. So yeah, I'm sure it's tough to generalize the US because it's 400 million people, but I think overall I
Yeah,
would say probably there's more optimism than not when it
definitely,
comes to that
definitely,
type of thing. Yeah.
definitely. I noticed that. That's why I asked. Just wanted to see what your experience was.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. But brother, no, I'm really, really enjoying this conversation. I still got like so many questions, but I'm not gonna take all your
Oh,
time.
shit.
So just
That's
to
all good. Fire away,
yeah.
bro. Fire away.
Um, but so man, and just again, like when I was going through your content, brother, after we'd met in that call and just seeing all the stuff about masculinity, like specifically in the content, I was like, this is such a great topic of discussion. One, because I think generally it is so important for guys to be able to either develop that masculinity unveil it that's already within them, that maybe they forgot about it, just for so many different reasons, to create the life that they've always wanted, to become the men that they've always wanted. But also, I feel like it's one of these topics of discussions, especially in the last 10 years, that is a little bit taboo, because people just feel like they're going to get canceled whenever they say the word masculinity. So
oh my God, it gets me angry.
So this is kind of a two-sided question, brother, but I would love for you to kind of unpack, like in the most basic of ways, like what exactly is masculinity? How can it actually benefit men in the world? And what is the difference with toxic masculinity, and why the fuck does that keep getting brought up so much anyways?
God, the media is throwing some real dark stuff into our brains, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around this stuff. I don't want to get too deep into the conspiracy theories, but one of them is that they want to make strong men weaker so that there wouldn't be some sort of revolution or uprising. Because back in the day, during the peasants' revolt, who was revolting? Strong men with spears. And you don't want a big army of strong men attacking the castle. You want a bunch of girls shouting outside the castle, because they're not going to break down the walls, but the guys just might get angry enough to do so. So a lot of the conspiracy theories are saying that actually they're trying to weaken men, and bring down this level of like machoism and masculinity and strength, because they actually want to like make sure that there's no revolt, and they want to make sure there's a level of control by the governments. So that's a conspiracy theory. Like, I'm not saying I believe in that necessarily. It's certainly an interesting one, but the media is feeding us with, as it always has, feeding us with an agenda that it feels is right for us. In the sense that, and let me look at both sides quickly here and then give you my definition of masculinity. Yes, men have been toxic for many years, for centuries. They were the ones that were fighting wars, crusading, killing, raping, pillaging. Men have done some terrible things. And also, in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you look at Hollywood, you look at the stories, Weinstein, Epstein, the Me Too movement. Men have done some dark things. And it's these few men who have put out a very bad sort of viewpoint for the rest of people. And the media have pinpointed that. And then they created the Me Too movement. And then so a bunch of women came out and just said, you know, like, oh, I've been harassed, I've been this. And that's, and I believe these women because you see these things happen, you know, like men can do some stupid, dark, strange, horrible things. And there are some dark things we don't even know about that haven't even come out in the media. So I do agree that because of what's come out in newspapers and, you know, simply what some of these women have said, how men have treated them, the world needed to hear that. But it's now how we interpret that moving forward. And the way we seem to have interpreted it is masculinity is toxic. Men are disgusting and evil. And they're pedophiles and rapists, and they need to become more feminine. To a degree, I actually agree with that. To a degree. So what my definition would be of masculinity is that true masculinity, the essence of masculinity, should be protection, strength, courage, bravery. Those are some of the traits that are beautiful about masculinity, but combined with some of the feminine energy, which is emotional intelligence, empathy, kindness, caring for others who don't have as much as you, wanting to help the poor. A lot of those things are very feminine energy traits. So by combining the two, you build the best possible man you could build, which is a true leader who not only wants to protect and to build wealth and to progress society, but who also cares and has emotions and doesn't want to hit a woman or even think about doing anything crazy to a woman. So some of those men that have committed those crimes, they couldn't have been very empathetic. They were delusional psychopaths that thought because of their power, they could exploit that. I'm a top Hollywood producer. If she doesn't get on her knees, then she's not going to get this role. Giving men that kind of power does corrupt them. So what we do need to show in society, and what we do need to present to the forefront, is the men who have that power, but who show empathy, and who are actually like true leaders that are loved by the people and loved by both sides. And to be loved by both sides, you need energy from both sides. You need masculine energy and you need some feminine energy. I don't think it's 50-50, because to be a true masculine male model, role model, you need slightly more masculinity than you do femininity. But you do need some feminine traits to build the essence of, I call it true masculinity, like the depth of what masculinity is supposed to look like to advance our society, to be loved by the people from both sides. You need to have empathy and you need to have emotional intelligence. A lot of CEOs, a lot of famous entrepreneurs, a lot of famous producers are psychopaths. They don't have emotions. They have a goal, they want to drive forward, and they don't care. They will destruct everything in their way. History has shown that with many of the leaders that we've had. The present, over many years, has also shown that with some of the powerful men that we've seen, whether it be Hollywood or whether it's been in finance. And those men are destructive. And those men have been accentuated in the media. And so that's what we see as masculinity. That's toxic. That's toxic. Correct. It is toxic. I'm not disagreeing with that. I completely agree it's toxic. A woman should feel safe with a man at all times. That's the point of a masculine man. I'm in Budapest here in Eastern Europe, and you'll notice actually when you're around here is that the women are very feminine and the men are very masculine. And it actually seems to work. But not if the man is too masculine, that he's gone to the macho stage where he's like, shut up and listen to me. That's when he's gone too far. And if she's become too feminine and is scared and too submissive to say anything to him, then the relationship breaks down. You start getting this Me Too movement. But I've actually seen a good balance with a lot of relationships here, and a good balance with the nature of both energies, where you've got a certain level of masculinity around here, when you've got a certain level of femininity. And when you combine the two, you create this beautiful harmony, this beautiful relationship, this beautiful society of advancement, of innovation, of love, of empathy. And that's what we're supposed to be doing as a race. We're supposed to be advancing as a civilization while being empathetic and not trying to destruct everything in our path, which is what men have done for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And so now is the time to set out a new path. And for a lot of the youngsters listening, I hope I've explained what toxic masculinity looks like and what the true beautiful essence of masculinity should look like, which, by the way, is not being pushed out in the media. I haven't heard one article or read a piece anywhere to show me that this is what masculinity should look like. So nobody knows what it's supposed to look like. Everyone's seen. I mean, Andrew Tate was the most famous guy on the planet last year. Now, what's that done for society? It turns out he is actually trying to help young men, but with these little shorts that people are watching over 1 minute, these kids are getting all excited. Oh yeah, Andrew Tate says tell your woman to shut up. Yeah, we should do that. No. He's certainly not telling the woman to shut up. If you watch the long form, he's actually entirely respectable. But the media has portrayed him as this self-portrayed misogynist. And when you've got the most famous man on the planet being portrayed as a misogynist, what's that going to do? What's that going to do to people's minds? What message is that going to portray to the youngsters? The UK is banning Andrew Tate across the board because kids are talking about him in schools. So the wrong people are coming into the limelight. And it's time for people like you and I, well, I'm certainly going to be on this mission for the rest of my life till the day I'm dead, is to bring us into the limelight to show people what masculinity should look like, which is the perfect harmonic balance of the two. I hope that's explained it in a long-winded answer. It's a tough question to answer perfectly, but I hope I've given you an idea there of what it should look like.
No, man, I thought that was spot on. And it was interesting that I had this conversation this morning with someone about, it was funny that you were thinking about, I don't think it's like 50-50, the percentage, because my friend, she asked me, she was like, do you think that guys should be masculine all the time or also have these feminine attributes? And I was like, no, definitely the best version of ourselves has both. And almost the example that I tried to use that really works well for me is like thinking about when guys are going off to war, right? And it's like you got to bring that masculine energy if you're going out on the fucking battlefield.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But like fairly obvious. But when the battle is over, to have that, right, that feminine energy of like the compassion of dealing with your emotions and the emotions of everyone around you. Because how many times have we seen the movies or heard the stories of the lone wolf, fucking super masculine guy who like whatever is in war or does like is kind of macho, but then doesn't deal with the shit, has the PTSD, has the drinking problem, using drugs because he never really faced those emotions of that entire situation. So there's so much power that comes from those moments of stillness and reflection when you actually deal with the emotions and have compassion and kindness for what just transpired. And so I feel like that example just rings very true and clear for me of how we need both. We need both in this
Exactly.
life.
Yeah. You're
And
absolutely right. I mean, as you say, it's like the guy that goes to war, but then when he comes home to his family and his kids, he's soft and loving and caring.
yeah,
And so he's mad when it comes out to going to war and saving humanity.
yeah,
But he comes home and he's not macho anymore.
yeah,
He's loving and caring and asks his wife if she had a beautiful day, what does she need? He plays with her hair and she makes sure she's had a lovely time. He's not like, yo, make me my food or, get back in the kitchen. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. So you're
exactly.
entirely right. Yeah.
Exactly, man. And this is kind of maybe not a two-sided question, but kind of piggybacks on each other. And one thing is, do you believe that these type of traits, like these good traits in masculinity, can be developed? Or do you think these are things that guys are just born, they're just born more feminine, they're just born more masculine? Do you believe these traits can be developed and guys can become and create this healthy amount of masculinity in their lives to improve themselves and their lives?
Yeah. Big question. Loaded question for sure. I think that men are made, not born. And therefore, you can adapt and evolve a man.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you're born a certain way. That's it. That's just the way you are. Sure, genetics plays a huge role in this stuff. You can't change your height. I get it. But you can change and evolve your attributes.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you're not really feeling like a man and you're feeling like, oh, I'm not looking great, I need to sort of get in better shape, there are things that you could do to improve your testosterone levels. I'm not saying you start pumping yourself with a needle and start loading yourself up with TRT and hoping that you become more masculine and start growing some hairs. Although people are turning to those sorts of shortcut ways of doing things. It's like, oh, how can I get more strong and muscle? Let me just pump up with TRT. That's the shortcut route. The shortcut route is always short term. The long term route
Mm-hmm.
is to build a set of habits, which I have instilled in myself since I was 16. To give you some background, I was bullied at school when I was about 12, 13 years old. And I was a soft kid, at the time, like 12, 13. I may have been a rebel at school, but I was also like, I didn't know how to deal with these bullies. And I thought the whole world was always just so kind and loving all the time. I didn't know there was a big, bad world out there. And I was still young. I was sheltered from it at home. Came from a loving family. My parents were really beautiful people. And I never saw a hard time. I never went through tough times back then. So I was bullied at school for about a year. And then my brother started toughening me up. They were slapping me at home. They were like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if he does this? What are you going to do if he does this? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was like crying, and they would be like, come on then, do something, do something. So they sort of toughened me up, and I'd be like, I was crying one day because they were slapping me so hard, saying, what are you going to do at school if he does this to you? And then eventually, it was funny actually, I went to a really rough school at one point. And at this rough school, the kids would sort of beat each other up. They wouldn't just beat me up, they'd beat everyone up. It was absolutely wild, actually. It was literally like putting a guy into a cesspit of other macho, overly masculine men who would kick and punch each other. And believe it or not, that toughened me up. Now, I don't think that we should put feminized men into a cage and get them, get people to beat the hell out of them. I don't think that's the right answer. But it worked for me. And so what I'm trying to instill in people is a set of habits, whether that be lifting heavy ass weights in the gym, whether that be running for an hour, whether that be sleeping well, having a good diet, and evolving the way you think by listening to certain people, like myself. I think there is a way that we could adapt and evolve men into being better men, into being more masculine. It's $1 million question, really. It's $1 billion question in today's society, because a lot of us are asking, are you born gay or do you become gay? Do you become I don't know the science behind it, and I don't know biologically how it all works. But what I do know from helping men, from training men, from being in the fitness industry for 15, 20 years, that men are made, not born. So just because you are a certain way, I don't want the younger guys to be like, oh, I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life, man. Oh, I can't change. Or he's like tall, handsome and rich and he has everything and I'm never going to get there. Dude, that's not true. And it's like, oh, well, he's so masculine. He can grow a beard. And it's just like, there are some genetic things. I teach something interesting called the masculine medicine rating system. And I have 36 factors that actually define a man's value or worth, if you like, even though there's probably many more than that. And about 3 or 4 of them are genes. So your height is not something you can change, although they're doing limb lengthening surgery these days. So it's mad the kind of stuff that we're going to be able to do in the future. And then about 3 or 4 of them is all about money and status, how much money you make. And the rest of them, 70 to 75%, is all development. So you can actually develop all those traits as a man. So what I'm trying to prove to the world is that, no, you're not just born a certain way and that's it. You can develop into a strong, intelligent, wealthy, loving human being, man, masculine. You can improve masculine traits. You're not going to go from 0 to 100%. You're not suddenly going to grow a bunch of chest hair and grow a full stack beard. That's not going to happen overnight. But you can utilize what you already have, and then you can build on that, and you can also own it, own your style. I see a lot of guys who grow 0 facial hair, who are not that tall, but they just own their style. They're just super cool. He's got a great jacket. He's got some cool glasses. He's got a really cool vibe about him. He's very loving. He's very warm. He's got a great job. He works hard in his job. People like him. He's likable. You don't have to be some macho masculine man. This is not what we're talking about here. Masculinity isn't what you think it is. It isn't Hercules walking through the door. Mm-hmm. Guy's 6'5", absolutely stacked, with a deep voice, and he's aggressive. That's not masculinity. Mm-hmm. The whole point of us saying this is you can be made into a valuable, high value man, which is what a lot of people in the space call it. You can develop into a high value man by owning the traits that are unique to you, further developing them and evolving, learning some things or a thing or two about dating. I mean, when I was 21, I'd been reading books ever since I was a kid about relationships, how to act as a man, a woman's psychology, how she wants you to respond. And you can learn these skills and tactics, just like you can learn coding or a new language. You can learn how to be more of a refined man that adds value to your, that makes you a higher value man in the sexual marketplace, if you like, so that you're a bit wealthier and a bit cooler and you've got a bit more social status and girls fancy you. Because ultimately that's what most guys want, let's be honest, the straight guys anyway. So I truly believe, and this is my life's work now, that even if you've grown up being feminized or you're very feminine and you've got loads of feminine energy, you don't have much masculine energy, you can rebalance that wheel and get to a point which makes you more comfortable. I truly, truly believe that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wasting my time doing any of this stuff.
All right. Yeah, right on. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm on the same page. I honestly believe that we can develop ourselves and become whoever we want to be with enough training and repetitions and persistence over who knows how long. But I genuinely believe you don't have confidence, you can become more confident. If you're not strong, you can become more strong. If you're not calm, you have a temper, you can become more calm. I genuinely believe we can have this version, the best version of ourselves. And if we just work at each area and chip away, we can become whoever it is we want to be. And I don't believe we're fixed in any way, shape, or form.
Love that.
I'm totally on the same page, brother. And just so we talked a lot about right there real quick, some of the things that we can do to become more masculine. What are some of the things to avoid, or maybe people, so many like feminized guys are doing now that is kind of holding them back from creating this healthy masculinity? Like, what are maybe some things that people should avoid doing in daily life?
There are substances that are destroying humanity. And I wish I could delve deeper into this subject. If I was a doctor with a laboratory, like antidepressants, alcohol, marijuana, when used incorrectly. When used correctly, it can be used as a tool. I use marijuana as a tool. Smoking weed every day destroys your ambition. Destroys your ambition. Listen, I used to smoke weed every day. I used to. I was that guy. I smoked weed every day. Then I'd counteract it with the gym. And I can tell you, when you indulge in that vice so often, it destroys your ambition. You don't feel like you're capable anymore. You just want an easy, comfortable life. You just want to roll another one up and get a burger. You turn to fast methods that you think are going to work. Steroids, TRT. You pump yourself up with TRT. Like, I used to know a guy that would pump TRT into his thigh just before a gym session. He'd be like, bang into his thigh and like push it in. I was like, bro, what the hell is that? He's like, oh, it's TRT, bro. It's testosterone treatment. Like, I'm going to be stronger. I was like, how long do you think you're going to last doing that? Do you really think in 10, 15 years you're still going to be doing that? And guess what? Now he stopped doing that. So the short-term thinking is destroying our men. They want to get from 0 to 100 as soon as possible. But the first thing I would say, the things that you need to stop doing, drinking every night. Alcohol is absolutely poisonous. If alcohol was invented today, there is no doubt it would be illegal. No doubt. Now, again, we can use these things as tools. I'm not an extreme guy. I love a glass of whiskey and a cigar. Don't get me wrong. I love a glass of red wine with a beautiful piece of steak. I love a little smoke with the boys on the weekend so I can step out and see what I'm doing with my work. Am I heading in the right direction? But if you engage in those vices every single day, and even heavier vices, cocaine, ketamine, anything that's synthetic and that's unnatural, that's taken every day, is going to destroy you. And it's not just going to feminize you, but it's going to kill your ambition, which kills masculinity. Because true masculinity is ambitious and goal-driven. And a true masculine man would be like, I want to achieve this. I want to win. I want to get there. Drinking every day makes you hungover and slow the next day, and makes you want to eat. You know, when you wake up hungover, you don't want to eat a salad. You want to eat an In-N-Out burger. That's what you want to eat. When you're stoned, you want to eat a Papa John's pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to eat some broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the basics. There's no secret answer to it, but you've got to put the drugs down, and you can use them as tools once in a while. But when used on a consistent basis, they will destroy you. And you cannot become the man you want to be if you're engaging with those things every single day.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side to the question is what you can do. And I could sit here and reel off a list for an hour. But as you said, it's the things that you shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And there are too many people smoking weed every day. There are too many people drinking every day. And even if you're not doing it every day, if you're indulging once in a while, but you're going heavy, so you're drinking 7, 8 whiskeys, 7 gin and tonics, 7, 8 vodka Red Bulls on a Friday night, that's going to ruin your Saturday. You're not going to hit the gym on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be a bit lazy on the Sunday. And then you're back into work on the Monday. And you're like, oh, I'm back here again. And it just destroys your ambition. I know because that was me. That was me. Drinking, smoking, and eating crap all the time. And I couldn't get anywhere in life. I couldn't achieve my goals. I couldn't be happy. It was a complete opposite to who I am today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you 100%, man. It almost like stems the question to me. It's like, why are these people like drinking every single day, smoking every day? Is it because they aren't clear on what they want? Is it because they're trying to avoid these uncomfortable emotions that is whether it's loneliness, whether it's stress, overwhelm, any of these type of things. And exactly like you said, it's the short-term gratification, the short-term sugar high. That's just, it's trying to avoid dealing with the discomfort in this situation right now. And ultimately, if you just keep kind of taking the sugar high every time, that's not going to lead to the long-lasting, fulfilled life. We gotta deal with our shit at some point or another if we want to keep fucking moving forward and live a better life, man. So I totally agree with you 100% again.
Absolutely.
One of the, this was something too. Obviously, like, just a curious question, just because you've been posting like this stuff on masculinity and stuff on Instagram, have you been having to deal with like a lot of trolls and things like that and hate from people, or has it been? And the reason I bring it up is, one, because I'm genuinely interested, but two, because these type of conversations, I believe we have to have them so much more often. And I just think, again, people are so nervous to have these conversations and put it out there because, again, they don't want to be canceled and this type of thing. So how's your experience been with dealing with like trolls or controversy?
Yeah, in general, most of the stuff is good, thankfully. In general, 80% of it is good. 20% of it is trolls.
Okay.
Keyboard warriors, I call them.
Yeah,
it's funny
sure.
because the trolls and the keyboard warriors, they never have a profile picture and they've got a random username, user7284 or
Yeah.
Brandon7569. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you, bro? Like, what are you doing? Why are you giving me this stick, brother? Like, I'm just trying to put goodness out into the world. And sometimes I might come across like a dick and whatever, fine. I do get the trolls, and the annoying thing is, and some of my favorite influencers online also discuss the same thing, which I was shocked to hear. But they all say that it's the bad comments that hit you the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And you can read 100 good comments, and then you read a bad comment, and it hits you, and you're affected by it. And so, yes, I'll admit that I've been affected by some comments on my YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok over the past few months. It does hit. It does hurt. I'm only human. But when I take a step back, the way I deal with it is I take a step back and I look at my life objectively. I'm like, all right, who actually am I in society? Forget who I am to myself right now. Like, who am I in society? Where do I sit on the pay scale? Where do I sit on the body scale? Where do I sit with like a beautiful woman? Where do I sit with family? Where do I sit with lifestyle? And when I'm like, hold on a second, I got all these amazing things, money, body, beautiful family, beautiful women around me, great friends. I'm like, shit, like I sit in the upper echelon. And I like, and these people are questioning me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe they're right. Oh God. I'm like, yo, slap. It was like that. My brother slapping me all over again as a kid, saying, yo, wake the hell up, wake the hell up. I'm like, whoa, sorry. And everyone's going to get affected by those comments. Everyone's going to be hurt by some hateful trolls. There's so much of them online. I'm not saying I'm famous. I'm just saying that like fame comes at a price. Everyone will tell you that. Everyone who's got a serious following will tell you that fame definitely comes with a price. Man, my own friends will talk shit about my back, will talk shit behind my back. I know that. They're not saying it in my face, but they'll say it behind my back because I have an opinion and a strong opinion and I put it forward. And so to all the listeners listening to this, we need you to put your opinion forward. Because the moment a man stops putting his opinion forward is the moment that society starts declining. If you oh, I shouldn't say anything because what are they going to think? Then you're not going to get anywhere in life. You really need to be stern. You need to make your points. Some people have got damn extreme points. But I mean, we need all points of view so we can amalgamate that and move society in forward in an integral way. But oh yeah, I get the trolls, bro. And the trolls are about 20%. They're a bit less now. They're more like 10%. It's more like 80 to 90% positive, neutral, and then 10, 15, sometimes 20% on some videos. Like TikTok, you get trolls. TikTok, on YouTube, I get serious people. On Instagram, I get again, relatively serious people. On TikTok, I'm just getting a bunch of kids say all sorts of random stuff to me. Words I've never even heard before that they use. They're like, oh, cope, bro. Yeah, that's an L, bro. Yeah, she's mid, bro. I'm like, dude, what is this language you're speaking? I don't even know what you're saying, bro. So yeah.
Fair enough.
You gotta just battle through, bro. Again, it's the art of masculinity. You want to be truly masculine, you need to not give an F. You need to, I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep driving my message forward. If you get trolled for years and years and years, maybe you're doing something wrong, but eventually you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it took me a while, but once I got there, now I'm getting some good YouTube comments. And like I said to you before, I'm getting the snowball effect now, which is the positivity and the content. And I want to keep going because I'm reading the good stuff and the bad stuff doesn't hit me as hard. But at the beginning, it hit me hard because your first few videos, you're like, oh, wow, people don't like this. Maybe I should stop. No, don't stop.
Right on. No, I really appreciate that strategy and tactic of looking at your life objectively, not just replying and reacting right away, but being able to take a step back and respond and think you know what, man, no, I'm following my beliefs. I'm living true to myself. I'm taking action in a cause I believe in. I'm trying. My intention is to help people. I'm a good fucking person. I've done this, care of my family. I'm doing all right. I'm not gonna let this this username bot bring me down. All the personal work I've done in this shit. All right. Let me just. I just gotta take a step back and in a breath for a second. We're gonna be just fine.
It's funny you say all the personal work you've done on yourself. You've been meditating for 10 years, and then some guy comes up and is like, "Yo, bro, you got big ears," and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm a failure." You know what I mean? Oh, big ears.
Exactly. The years of work and whatever plant medicine journeys and meditation, and it's just I'm just gonna let this comment of an egg fucking derail my self-esteem.
Exactly.
When you think about it like that, but holy shit, man.
Yeah. Do you deal with any? What's your experience with this? Do you deal with any trolls online? Is generally your stuff quite good? How are you feeling with all this stuff?
I've had maybe a handful of comments on TikTok, but my following is not very large. It's mostly people that know me. So I definitely agree with you, and just people that know me, probably, especially in the beginning when I started posting, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Putting his voice and opinion out there. But I think in the beginning it was much more of probably people I knew talking behind my back. But I've been fortunate enough at this point that it hasn't happened. But as I continue to work on growing my audience, I'm sure this is just an inevitable part of the process. But my following is not so big right now, so it hasn't really been much of an issue. But I'm genuinely curious, for someone who's built your following where it is, where it's been taken to.
You'll go through the trolls. You have to. It's almost like breaking through to get somewhere in life. You have to go through the trolls. Anyone who's had 0 trolls is lying. It's lying.
Yeah, I feel.
I don't. Yeah.
It's almost like a rite of passage or something. I feel like the initiation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
I feel like I'd be doing a disservice for the listeners, since they are definitely mostly males. And I know you do help guys like with dating and women overall. And so I know there's so much psychology, and you said you read so many books on this and this concept, but the fact of like, so what exactly are feminine women looking for in a man? Like, how
Yeah.
can I just feel like this is the question that every guy just like, what is it? Like, what can I do to make this happen? So I feel like
Yeah,
I would be
yeah,
doing a
yeah,
disservice if I didn't ask this.
yeah, yeah. Man, this is how long have you got? You know,
I
geez, I
know,
could
I
talk
know.
about this. I could talk about this for years. What do women want? Discuss. Yeah, yeah. Good luck. You need
Good luck.
eternities to finish this one off, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, infinity isn't enough time to
Yeah.
complete this equation. Um, what do feminine women want? Okay, I'll try and sum this up. They want authenticity. So I could sit here and talk about all the little things. When I read The Game when I was 21, I did a video recently about this, and you feel like they teach you to have particular things to say every time a woman says something. So like, oh, if she says this, I need to say this. If she objection handling. So if she objects me, then I have to find another way around it. And I was like, man, this stuff sucks.
Mhm.
That's way too scripted. So then what I found out, there was this thing called game in terms of like how you talk to girls. And then there was this other aspect called deep inner game. And deep inner game became about your genuine confidence as a man, deep down. Are you confident? Are you secure in yourself? Most of the time, we'll sit here and say, she wants someone who's 6 foot, earning six figures, and is relatively handsome. Done. Ticket. That's it. That's what they want. I hate to break it to you, but in general, the answer is yes. That's in general what they want. But there are a lot of exceptions to the rule. Thankfully, guys. Thankfully. If you're not 6 foot, earning six figures, don't worry about it. There are a lot of other aspects, like I said, on the masculine medicine rating system. I've written 36 different factors. What they want is authenticity. They want confidence. They want originality. They want a level of emotional control. And those are some of the main things that you need. You don't need muscles. You don't need an extreme amount of money. You don't need to be 6'4". You don't need to be the funniest guy on the planet. You need to have just a few of those traits that I mentioned. You know, emotional control. She doesn't want a man to be overly emotional. I tell you what a feminine woman doesn't want. A feminine man. She needs the yin to the yang. The universe is all about balance. There's a force against another force, and they're supposed to, equals and opposites are supposed to attract. They're supposed to anyway. Particle, antiparticle. In everything you ever look at in physics and biology, there's an equal and opposite force. If two things are exactly the same, they just will not combine. So I tell you what a feminine woman doesn't want. She doesn't want indecision. Doesn't want someone to be overly emotional about things. She doesn't want someone to constantly second guess themselves. If your girlfriend sees you constantly second guessing yourself, I don't know what I want to do, and you know what, it's not working out on my boss, and oh, I don't know. And you do that every single night, she's going to be like, God damn it, man up. Even she's going to tell you to man up.
Yeah.
Right? So feminine women want decision makers who are decisive about what they want in life, who are original, who are authentic, which is the key, because you get a lot of men who don't look like a masculine figure, you know, who look a little different to a typical masculine man. Like you see Hercules, and then you see the opposite to Hercules, and you think, oh, how's that guy got such a beautiful girlfriend? Well, because he owns it and he carries himself well, and he's original and authentic to himself, and he has some masculine traits. Absolutely, he's decisive. He can be affirming. He can be stern with the things that he wants in life. But then he also has some of her features, just some of her features, like emotional control, and emotional intelligence and empathy. So if he's not empathetic, good luck. It's not going to work with women. If you're going to be some decision maker who's wealthy and super cool and authentic, but your emotional intelligence is terrible and you barely think about what she wants in life, then she's going to get miserable eventually, and she's going to get upset and be like, he doesn't care about me. He doesn't listen to my opinion. So it is a complicated answer, but I want men to be as authentic as possible. I really don't want to list out a list of things and say, you must copy this, be this person, change who you are, be that person, you'll win. That's not the answer. The answer is evolve who you already are.
Yeah.
Add a few more beautiful pieces to the table. You know, it's like you're modifying your car. You're adding a bit of this, you're adding a bit of that. You're not changing the color or the engine. That's staying the same. You're just modding it just slightly and adding some cool things to the vehicle, but you're still that chassis. You're still that engine. You're not going to go from a Ford to a Ferrari. That doesn't really happen. Some men are Ferraris and some men are Fords, and they're going to take a long time to get to that Ferrari. But that Ford can also look pretty sexy with a couple of additions. So authenticity is absolutely key for the boys out there listening to this. Be authentic, own it, understand some of the basic traits of what masculinity is supposed to look like. Strength and courage and bravery are very important to be a masculine man. Decision is very important. If you're at the restaurant and you can't pick anything on the menu and she's been waiting 15 minutes for you, she's going to be like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's really doing. Like, if he can't pick something on the menu, how's he going to pick a house, a car, clothes for his daughter? How's he going to pick things that are going to make my life easier? Mm-hmm. Again, what feminine women want is a man to take a level of control and charge, not too much control, and to lead her down a pathway which makes sense for the both of them and which has her best interests at heart as well. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry I couldn't give you a short answer to this, but there is no short answer to what does a feminine woman want. It's a long conversation. It is a list of things, but the overarching trait I want to discuss is authenticity. Be authentic to yourself. If you're I got a comment the other day saying, some guy on my YouTube goes, I'm one of the biggest femboys listening to this masculine channel. Like, okay, that's fine. You're a femboy. I don't even know what a femboy is, to be honest. But I was like, okay, that sounds like someone who's not very masculine, but sure. But that's okay that you're a femboy. You're not going to drastically change who you are. You can be a femboy, own that, run with that, but just realize that you're not going to get the most feminine woman on the planet. Because the feminine women here in Eastern Europe that I'm finding actually want masculine men who are decisive, who know what they want, who are ambitious. And those are many of the beautiful traits that coincide with what masculinity is. So I hope that's kind of answered your question. I'd love to spin it straight back to you, actually, and say, because I love hearing men's opinions on this, because it can be so varied. What do you think feminine women want?
No, that's a great question, man. And again, I'm in Colombia, and so I'm experiencing there's a lot of feminine women here as well. And just from my experience, just talking with women, I think that they want guys who take action. They want guys who are ambitious and who have these fucking visions of an amazing future and will work tirelessly to make it fucking happen. Literally, or die trying type of scenario. The ones, like you said, making the decisions, but also not being 100% fucking controlling, but can have conviction in their decisions, being super empathetic and caring and all those amazing traits too. But I think the main things is just someone who is excited about the life that they're creating and excited about developing themselves and becoming the best version of themselves. And I think that you hit the nail on the head when you're it's not changing who you are, it's evolving who you are. So not doing something that's not inauthentic to try and pretend you're someone else, but no, hitting home on your strengths, developing your weaknesses, adding some new abilities, and just making the best you can be. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Peter Crone. He's an amazing coach. He's actually also from England. And he says one thing that a lot of people are doing is they're creating the best versions of their limited selves. And so they're doing the best that they can, but within these limits that they placed upon themselves. But when they actually start living limitlessly and stop letting things hold them back and stop letting obstacles hold them back. Now you fucking push through that ceiling, and now it's like, now you can live up to your utmost potential. But a lot of people, I'm not going to say people aren't doing the best they can, but they're doing the best they can within the confinements that they placed upon themselves. And so it's a totally different place we can get to when we break through those confinements and limits.
Definitely.
So that's my view, brother. I appreciate, I think the authenticity, again, such an important word and concept and thing that everyone needs to embrace, especially with social media, and people aren't necessarily showing their total authentic selves all the time. We need more authenticity in the world, 100%.
Absolutely.
And again, brother, I know we've been on this for a while. I don't want to take too much of your time. Just the last question. The last question I got, my friend.
Sure, bro.
This is just so let's look, obviously, with the work you're doing, the work I'm trying to do with helping men. What is your prediction, if you could give one, for the next 100 years, in the sense of, do you think that do you believe that we'll be able to create stronger, more masculine men and create this better understanding and congruency between masculine and feminine? Do you think we're on track for just like total feminism because of the media? It's an impossible question to answer. I'm just genuinely curious about your thoughts.
Wish I could tell the future, I'd be very rich. I feel there is a bit of a shift happening right now. I think a lot of people are quite tired of, I think we've gone very, very left. I think we've gone very woke, as they like to call it. So woke that we've gone too woke, that we need to rebalance that. What's painful is that the world's very bipolar, not just in politics, but in everything. You know, if you look at American politics, how polarized it's become. People are becoming completely opposites. There's no congruence towards a particular pathway anymore. It's extremely disappointing the way our world moves. In fact, we're becoming more nationalist. You know, the UK leaving Europe. No, we want to be individual. All these countries wanting to leave Europe, wanting to be nationalized again. You know, no, we don't want the immigrants. It's like, whatever happened to globalization? People are saying globalization didn't work. So in that sense, it's disappointing, but I see a bit of a shift occurring. And you'll see this shift, and I'll give an example. Sweden is a great example of this. So in Sweden, what's happened is that feminism has gone to such a degree that women are sick of feminism in Sweden. They're like, wait a second, we wanted equality and equal rights, but we didn't want this. We didn't want dudes to be scared to walk up to us and make decisions in our relationship and be a bit more affirming with us in multiple senses, in bed even. You know, like being a bit timid and scared, thinking, oh, you know, I might get in trouble if I do this in a certain way, rather than sort of taking charge. So, you know, I've been talking to Scandinavians recently. I've been talking to Scandinavian girls, and they'll tell me, they're like, yeah, the men in our country, they're not very masculine anymore. And I think we've just gone too far with our feminist agenda to the point where we're tired of that now. And this is what seems to happen in society. Like, we go so far down one route, we're like, whoops, we've gone too far. And then we go so far down, you've either got Trump or you've got Biden. Like, Trump's so extreme in this way, Biden's so extreme in this way. We've got to bring the bar back to the middle, and then it wavers in the middle and it goes back to the other side. Society's always been like this since the dawn of time. But I think because we've gone so far down this whole feminist agenda in the West, Sweden has been a fantastic example of how we need to just ever so slowly bring that right back in here to the balance center. And I do see some hope, given the situation in Sweden, and given that the women are like, yo, we're tired of this. We don't want this. We actually want masculine men. And so if you're like a relatively masculine dude, you're going to clean up in Scandinavia, dude. So, you know, head on up there, because the girls are tired of, I mean, the girls tell me they have to walk up to guys. Guys don't walk up to them in bars or in coffee shops because the guys are standoffish and scared that that level of confidence is not appreciated. And the girls are like, what the hell? Like, come on. I want to be I want to be told I'm beautiful. Walk up to me in a coffee shop and tell me these things. So I think we will get back to that state of affairs. I just think the current collection of influencers online are not delivering the message in the best possible way. They're also extreme. Again, I mentioned the same guy, Andrew Tate. He's extreme with his views. And unfortunately, that's what's got him all the views. And that his extreme viewpoint got him so many views and made him the most famous man on the planet. But his viewpoint is so extreme. So now you need the next influencers to step up to the table and to bring a more balanced viewpoint, which I'd like to believe in humanity. I'd like to believe that we will be able to do that. I'd like to think people are also like me, that they do have the best interests at hand of humanity, and they can bring masculinity and femininity in alignment and bring a more balanced world viewpoint. And I think it will change. I think there is a tipping point, and I think we're going to lean back into more traditional values, as I've learned here being in the East, Eastern Europe. I think the West will start picking that up slowly, but not anytime too soon, no. I don't see that happening anytime too soon. I couldn't tell you short term what's going to happen, but I have hope. And I think there'll be a rebalancing act. And I think that we'll get to a stage in X number of years. I couldn't tell you when. It could be 5, it could be 10 years. At that point, AI and robots are going to be making all of our decisions. And we don't even know if we're going to have the terms masculinity and femininity anymore at that point. It literally could even be eradicated because it becomes robotic. So I don't know what the future of human beings are, but I have hope. And I think we've gone so far with feminism that Sweden's a great example of how we need to just bring it slightly back into the center now, because the center is where we're all supposed to meet and discuss. And so I have high hopes for where we're going to go to.
Yeah, I do as well, man. And there's a lot of work to do, but that's all right. That's what we're here for. And we're ready to take on, brother.
A lifetime of work, bro. I'm going to be dead before any of this fixes itself.
Well, we go and we die trying, my man. But
Exactly.
No, Ralph, genuinely, brother, I truly appreciate this conversation a ton. I learned a lot. I think that the listeners just received so much valuable information, so much valuable insight, and hearing about your experiences and your journey and your takes on all this stuff, brother. Again, appreciate you for putting your opinion out. I commend you for your fucking courage to do so when so many people obviously just have maybe similar opinions, but just do not want the risk of being canceled and Me Too'd in 2024. So I genuinely appreciate you, brother. My friend, where can people find you? I'll put all your social medias, but how can people work with you as well? Or how can people get more help from you and dive deeper into what you have to offer, man?
Yeah, I mean, the first places to find me is on Instagram at Real Ralph Anthony is my personal Instagram that I've been building for 5-6 years. I've just launched Masculine Medicine on YouTube. Okay, so exactly as it's spelt, Masculine Space Medicine. You'll find me on YouTube there, building my YouTube following and my brand. If you catch me on those two socials, you will see that I'll be opening up a Discord or Telegram group in the future. That will be a paid group and a community of strong men who are all there to help each other along the way, who are accountable to each other. So this is just phase 1 of what I'm building. Phase 1 is to build up the organic following across different social media platforms. But really the main goal is to bring people into a paid community, because I want serious people. I don't want to make it a free community. And also there's going to be a lot of gems and golden advice of strong men who are there for each other, who are accountable to each other, who support each other, the things that I never had growing up. And that's what I'd like to build. And that's what they'll eventually find. I'll be sivering them into that group, and they'll find that they can lean on other people. If they don't have people in their towns that they can lean on, if they don't have friends that want to talk about self-improvement, fitness, dating, investing, then they could talk about it in the group. And hopefully we get to meet each other around the world. But I would start with my Instagram at Real Ralph Anthony, and on my YouTube is Masculine Medicine.
Hell yeah. Amazing, man. I'm super excited to see those groups grow and all the impact you're going to make and all the lives you're going to help and change, my man. So thank you so much again, brother. It's been truly a pleasure, and hope to have you on in the future. All right.
Thanks, bro. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I let completely loose. I didn't hold anything back, and I was absolutely myself, and testament to you for making me feel comfortable and natural enough to do so. Appreciate you.
Right on, brother. I got you, man. All right, my friend.
Cheers,
Until next time, gang. Peace.
Peace.